be checking out a couple of question and answers covering quadratic equations using completing square method. Okay, so now the first question we'll be checking out here is x squared plus 6x plus 5 equals to 0. Alright, first thing you do when you're dealing with this is to check for your constant term, in which case our constant term is 5, so plus 5, so which you're going to transfer to the other side, and if you're transferring it to the other side, you know it's going to become negative. Okay, that means you have a 0 minus 5. So from what you have there, of course, you know that this will give you minus 5. So the next step is to divide the coefficient of x by 2, square it, and add it to both sides of the equation. And we're talking about what's the coefficient of x here? That's 6. You divide it by 2. You divide it by 2. If you're dividing by 2, that will give you 3. Now you divide by 2. Okay, square it. So squaring it, that will make it a 3 squared, and add it to both sides of the equation. Now let's take a look at the equation. This is the equation. There's the same thing. So we want to add 3 squared to both sides of the equation. Now from what you have here, of course, you agree with me that adding to both sides of the equation implies that we'll be having 3 square. We'll be having 3 square added to the first side, and we'll be having 3 square added to the other sides too. So by implication from there, now the next step is to complete the square. When you're completing the square, the basic thing you should do is to pick your x here with whatever is in this bracket that has the square. Yeah, if you have done the right thing up to this point, it shouldn't be hard to pick. So what you just pick is x plus 3, then just square it, will be equal to, so at this point you can expand this, but this one you don't expand it, or else it will mess up whatever you are meant to have here directly. I mean, for you to easily pick out. So from what we have here now, we can then simplify further. If we simplify this further, that means we have x plus 3 squared equals to 4. So solving this further, we all know, of course, you find the square root of both sides. So square root of both sides of the equation by implication means this. Of course, you know this, we have your plus or minus. So this square cancels square root, and that implies that you have s plus 3, the square root of 4 is 2, so plus or minus 2. So at this point you can then bring the 3 to the other side. You take this to the other side, of course you know the negative will change to, the positive will change to negative. So that means x equals to plus or minus 2 minus 3. Now at this point you can separate it, because you know this contains two entities, two terms. Okay, that's s equals to plus 2 minus 3, or x equals to minus 2 minus 3. So x equals to minus 1, or x is equals to minus 5. Okay, that's that. Let's go to the second question. So from what we have there, 3x squared minus 18x plus 24. Now if you look at this is a little different from the first question in that the x squared has coefficient. So when the x squared has coefficient, the first step will not be to take the constant term to the other side. The first step will be to divide through by 3. So if you divide it through by 3, that's the coefficient of x squared. That means you're going to have this as shown here. Of course, from here, you know, 3 cancel here, 1, 3 here, 1, and from here, 3 here, 1, 3 here, 6, and 3 here, 1, 3 here, 8. So of course you know that 3 in 0 will give you 0. So that will take us to the next value, which is x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals to 0. So from what you have there, we can then apply the previous method. Okay, of course, we can take our minus 8 to the other side. I mean, the 8 come to this side. Of course, by reason of that, it become minus 8. So the next thing, as usual, we divide the coefficient of x by 2, square it, and add it to both sides of the equation. So what are we talking about here? We divide the coefficient of x, that's minus 6 in this case. Minus 6 divided by 2 equals to minus 3, which is going to be, of course, by implication, the procedure says we should square it and add it to both sides. So if you are squaring it, that means we have a minus 3 squared to add to both sides. Of course, we know that this is our equation here that we have moved to this place. That's the same equation. So from what you have there, you can then add this to both sides. So if we are adding it to both sides, so that means the minus 3 square is added here, and the minus 3 square is added here as well. Okay, so as usual, you know, this procedure, by that, like I keep saying, whatever you have here, don't evaluate it yet. So just pick the x here and pick the full value you have here. So by that, we can form our perfect square, which is going to be x minus 3 all squared equals to minus 8. Then you can evaluate, you can simplify this one here. So that means you have a minus 8 plus 9. Okay, so from what you have there, you can simplify further. X minus 3 all squared is equals to 1. So as usual, you find the square root of both sides of the equation. So finding the square root, square can cancel square root. Okay, so by implication, we know x minus 3 equals to plus or minus 1, and from there we can say plus or minus 1 plus 3. That's our value of x. So if you split the two sides, you have plus 1 plus 3 and minus 1 plus 3, and that means x equals to 4 or x equals to 2. So we can move on to the next question, which is the last one for this part. 12x squared minus 11x plus 2 equals to 0. Okay, as usual, you divide through by the coefficient of x squared, which is 12 in this case, and we have 12x squared divided by 12. Let's do it one after the other. 12 we cancel 12, that's 1 1, and nothing can divide through each other here. So this one, in this case, you can say 12 here 1, and it's 2 here 1, 2 here 6, and 12 in the 0, that's 0. It can only go in 0 time. So from what you have here, x squared minus 11x over 12 plus 1 over 6 equals to 0. So in this case, we'll do the same thing that we have always been doing. That's by taking plus 6 plus 1 over 6 to this side, by taking 1 over 6 to this side, which we know we turn to negative. That's how we come about the minus 1 over 6 here. Okay, so the next thing is to divide the coefficient of x by 2, square it, and add it to both sides of the equation. So as usual, I'd like us to go through the procedure. Okay, so we want to we have our 11 minus 11. Now you have to be careful, everything here is what you're picking. That's from here. Yes, there's the coefficient of x in this case. Yes, minus 11 over 12 divided by 2. Of course, by that, you know, that will imply this, and that means minus 11 over 12 divided by 2 will give us minus 11 divided by 24. Don't forget, we are dividing it by 2, and after that we are squaring it. We have to square it. Okay, so if you square it by implication, that means we are meant to have minus 11 over 24 squared. And don't forget, we are not meant to solve that value yet. Okay, so let's move on. We have our equation here. This same equation is what we have here. So now let's add the 2. So by that, we can then add it to the left hand side, and you add it to the right hand side. Okay, so adding it will give you this. Don't forget, like I keep saying, that what you need to do is pick your x and pick what is in the bracket. Then that will make up your square. That means you have s minus l over, that will be x minus 11 over 24 all squared equals to minus 1 over 6. Then you can evaluate what you have here and simplify it further. Okay, so from what we have here, let's simplify our right hand side. That means we have taking this as our LCM, as 6 can also go in 5, 6. So from there, we can then reduce this to this. Of course, at this stage, we know the next thing to do is to take the square root, find the square root of both sides of the equation. Okay, so from what you have here, you can, by default, square will cancel square root. Okay, so then we can simplify the other value. So that will give us x minus 11 over 24 equals plus or minus 5 over 24. So from what we have there, we can then take this value, that's our minus 11 to this side, minus 11 over 24 to this side. So what do you have? So you have this x equals to 5 plus 11 over 24, or minus 5 plus 11 over 24. So from there, you can then solve further, and that will give you your final answer to the simplest form. That's x equals 2 over 3 or 1 over 4. If any part of this video is not clear to you, you can replay it to get better clarity. Okay, all right.